Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn joins me now. Congresswoman, I want to start with Sequester. Are you comfortable this morning? It's 3 days since the order was officially signed. Are you comfortable with Sequester taking effect throughout the rest of the fiscal year?
I think that not only am I comfortable, I think that my constituents are relieved that it actually went on the books. And, you know, Chuck, what we're hearing from our constituents is, look, we want you to get in there and protect the military, but all of this discretionary spending, you need to be cutting it. You got to get busy reforming entitlements. You got to stabilize Social Security and Medicare. And people are ready to see some solutions brought forward, and they're expecting us to do that.
Congresswoman, do you think that now, I've heard one of Speaker Boehner's favorite lines is the president got his tax hikes.
Yeah.
Democrats are now going to be able to say the Republicans got their spending cuts. Does this sort of clear the brush, and in September we actually do have the grand bargain that might include a little more revenue and entitlement reform, that everything that's sort of the third rails inside the Democratic primary, inside the Republican primary, does that come back, or do you think that just taxes you just can't be touched?
Well, I think that what people are saying in this economy, in this time period, and certainly I feel like I agree with this, you cannot go around raising taxes. When is enough enough? And even now, with Sequester going in, we're spending 6.2% more than we were spending in 08. And, Chuck, people are just saying, wait a minute, you got to deal with the debt. And here's a great example of that. A constituent of mine does some work with the military, and he said, look, you're cutting 2%. He said, when you're borrowing 35 to 40 cents on a dollar, you got a 35% cut that you need to be addressing. And I think a lot of individuals across this country share that sentiment, that this is just scratching the surface.
Well, let's remember, it's not a 2% cut. You guys exempted so much from Sequester that it's the impact in what is cut is more than 2%.
Right, but see, what his point is that you have a big delta that you're yet to hit in order to start to bring this budget into balance, and that's why our budget committee will bring out a budget this month that will balance in 10 years. And people are saying now's the time to start to have these conversations about how you clean up the tax code, how you address long-term spending and long-term obligations, and the way that we're dealing with the entitlements. They want efficient, effective government. They want government to be accountable to the taxpayer. What they don't want is any more of this kick in the can. I say, give me that can. The can is accountability. It's spending cuts. It is bringing things into balance, and that's what we need to do. I
want to ask you about a vote that happened last week. The House passed the Violence Against Women Act.
Right.
You were an original supporter of it. You put out a statement in May in support of it, said you must continue to make every effort to ensure that funding is available to help these victims of violence, and then you voted against it. Why? Right,
the Senate version. I voted for all of the two House versions that we had, the replacement amendment. Yeah, and the Senate version, you know, what you do is begin to dilute the money that needs to go into these sexual assault centers, domestic abuse centers, our child advocacy centers. All of those I've helped to start here in my area in Tennessee. And when you start to make this about other things, and it becomes an Against Violence Act and not a targeted, focused act that is there to address the issue of violence against women that, Chuck, for far too long, that is something that you couldn't talk about outside of a home or outside of a family. And with the advent of these shelters, we were able to bring this forward and talk about it.
What part of the Senate bill did you not like that diluted it? Is there a specific portion of it? Explain it to me.
I didn't like the the way the conscience protections were there on the trafficking. I didn't like the way it was expanded to include other different groups. What you need is something that is focused specifically to help these shelters and to help our law enforcement who is trying to work with these crimes that have been committed against women and helping them to stand up. And we've had some great shelters and great success with our shelters here in Tennessee, and I like that focus. I like having our child advocacy centers able to receive funds and work with our drug task forces and some of these judicial task forces that have been so involved in these crimes, and that focus needs to continue. I remain a big supporter of that. Last Friday I was at the Child Advocacy Center dinner and remain a big advocate of carrying forward that good work and supporting those individuals. Marsha
Blackburn, I have to leave it there. Congresswoman from Tennessee, a Tennessee Republican.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your views this afternoon.
Thank you.